John, and happy birthday in advance. Okay, our next reader will be my co-compare and a legend in her home right, Sarah. In her own mind, right, whatever, doesn't matter.
I started doing something which is writing poems based on recent news stories. I'm going to ride this one out for as long as there are vaguely amusing news stories going on. The first one I'm going to read is one I wrote a few weeks ago and performed at a night called Vox, which will be happening at the Riverside on Sunday. But I will not be performing it. Other people will, and it'll be awesome. And there's music and spoken word and talk to Ollie, who's over there. He may have a card. He has better cards than us, so I'm really jealous. We need to get good cards. This is a poem about a news story that I read in the Sunday Times, and it's the best news story I've ever seen in my life. I thought, my wife Chala read it out to me. I thought she was reading The Onion or some other satirical news, but it was actually the Times. Nelson Mandela gave an audience to Jeremy Clarkson. What? If that wasn't enough.
Other way around, sure.
Yeah, he didn't. Although he didn't know who Jeremy Clarkson was, got him mixed up with one of the other guests of honour, and asked him what it was like on the moon. And Jeremy Clarkson was so embarrassed that he, instead of putting him right, saying, "Actually, I'm not very important at all. I haven't done anything but useful in my life. I just talk about cars," he said, "It was Rocky and Dusty." So this poem is called Rocky and Dusty. He looks at his itinerary. At 91, it isn't very easy to remember who he's being wise and gracious to. A head of state, 2 astronauts, a car enthusiast. He snorts. He reads the notes attached and chokes. His aide will have his little jokes. A speed-obsessive crashing bore who thinks we should be driving more instead of trying to save the earth. The old man's face is creased with mirth. He's homophobic, sexist too. Old Nelson smiles. He never knew that his assistant was so witty. The guests are here now, more's the pity. The astronaut is ushered in and introduced, and with a grin, Mandela greets the crass buffoon. "So, Mr. Clarkson, how's the moon?" It's a very, very short poem. It's about the healthcare reform bill that's just gone through in America, which I'm really, really happy about, but you've got to feel for all those Republicans who are opposing it. This is lines on the, and you'll see why, lines on the passing of the healthcare reform bill. Socialised medicine, day 1. It's not going well. As taxpayers foot the bill of the collective heart attacks of every Republican in the country. It's a slightly more serious one. There was a news story I read a few days ago, and I was really happy about it. I was celebrating. In Australia, they granted a status to an Australian citizen which said that they didn't have to identify as either one gender or the other. They were free to identify as I think it was without gender, or gender not specified. And this non-gendered person called Nori was really happy. The correct form for a non-gendered person is Z, and here. Z had got here, correct gender sorted out. Everyone was really surprised that Australia was the country that had done this really progressive thing, and then Australia realised it had done this really progressive thing, and 3 days later took it back. So they gave somebody a civil rights and went, "Actually, we've changed our minds, no, you can't have it." So this is called 3 Short Days. Australia, land of the Bruce and the Sheila. For 3 short days they told the world that some people are neither. Gender's a continuum, and this isn't a tax fiddle, but for 3 short days, a person called Nori proudly occupied the middle. When the international media seized upon the story, the Australian government panicked and regendered poor old Nori. Advancing people's civil rights should not be just a phase, but Nori, she owned her gender for 3 short days. Thank you. reading a poem, I'm going to tell you a quick little story about Circus of Poets, who 2/3 of whom are here today and are going to perform for us. And Circus of Poets was, to me, wasn't 3 poets. It was a video that was put on at wet breaks in my middle school. And there was a poem that they used to do on this video that we used to really enjoy, and it was about Captain Oates. And I'm hoping they're going to do it tonight, because it's a really funny poem about Captain Oates. And I thought the story of Captain Oates was really funny. I thought it was hilarious. This guy went out into the snow and never came back. I thought it was the funniest thing I'd ever heard. So a few years later, when we covered the story, the tragic story of the man who sacrificed himself for the expedition to the South Pole, idiots at the back here went, "Where did he go? Into the snow. Where did he go? I don't know," and got detention. So on that note, I'd like to introduce the wonderful, if slightly bad influence, that is Circus of Poets.